presented by Bluegreen Vacations. Alex Bowman, 3 straight years starting a duel on the front row, and Jimmy Johnson, 2-time duel winner. Kyle Busch with 3 duel wins, and William Byron, who led his duel for 15 laps last year. Eric Jones, he's our Clash winner from Sunday night. And you saw in the highlight Kevin Harvick, who won his duel last year.
And one of our rookies in row 4, Cole Custer, in his first duel start alongside Matt DiBenedetto, who finished his duel last year in 4th place in first race with the Wood brothers. In row 5, Tyler Reddick, another rookie. He actually ran the Daytona 500 a year ago and finished 13th in his duel a year ago. Kyle Larson on the outside of him. Hard to believe this, yet to lead a lap or finish in the top 5 in the duel at Daytona.
Kurt Busch, 2011 duel winner, and Michael McDowell, top 10 finishes in his last 2 500s. David Reagan in a one-off drive, 2-time superspeedway winner in NASCAR. And Ross Chastain, top 10 in last year's 500. Ty Dillon's finished top 10 in his last 3 Daytona starts. Brendan Gaughan, who's locked into what he says is his final Daytona 500 at age 44, on time. Timmy Hill's going to try to race his way in, along with Corey LaJoie. J.J. Yaley has to race in. That's his only shot to make the 500. Brennan Poole in his first Cup start, and B.J. McLeod finished 21st last year in his only prior duel. Talked to Eric Jones last night at a function, and still laughing about this one. And they took a picture, a team picture in Victory Lane, comparing his Victory Lane with Terry Labonte's at Bristol back in 1995. Now, you expect that kind of, Bristol's a meat grinder. You expect that kind of carnage at Bristol.
Well, you certainly
Not
don't
so much
expect
here.
a guy to bring that car home in Victory Lane at Daytona, but let's dial him up. Eric Jones, Jeff Gordon up in the Fox Sports booth. You got me? Hey, Eric, this is Jeff up in the Fox Sports booth. You got me, buddy? Well, that might be the same radio from the Clash. Let's try him on this second radio. We got.
Keep it rolling here. Clean night.
I think that sounds like him. Hey, Eric, this is Jeff up in the Fox Sports booth. You got me?
I got you.
All right, there you are. Hey, man, what a wild Clash on Sunday. Great job winning that race. But you came home with a destroyed race car. You can't afford to do that with this car. This is your Daytona 500 car. So, how much risk are you willing to take in this race to try to bring it home first?
Yeah, hopefully different result and a different looking car. You got to go up and race and learn about your race car, but at the same time, like you said, you don't want to hurt your 500 car. This is the best car we've got for the weekend. We don't want to have to go to a backup. So, love to go up there and be able to win it, at least have a shot to. It's always fun to win here at Daytona during the speed week. So we'll see what we can do. Get a balance of the risk versus reward. So we'll kind of see how the night goes and see how the racing is. And if it's not too wild, we'll go up there and give it a shot.
All right, well, that first duel was a wild one, but a lot of fun to watch. We're looking forward to watching you in Duel 2. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, just as we have a different group of drivers on the track, we have a different crew on pit road. Here's Matt Yoakum.
Well, Mike, Brendan Gaughan is locked in on time for the Great American Race, but tonight he'll be both dream maker and breaker for Timmy Hill and J.J. Yaley. Now, if Gaughan races his way in, then Hill makes it in on time. But if he drops to the back, then the highest finisher between Hill and Yaley makes the Great American Race. It would be the 7th start in the 500 for Yaley and the 1st for young Timmy Hill. Vince?
Well, the duel, of course, sets the lineup for the Daytona 500. Kyle Larson has started at the rear of the field in the 500 each of the last 2 years, so there's nowhere to go but up for him. But Larson said he has one specific goal for this duel, and that's bring that 42 home undamaged. They don't want any damage to this Daytona 500 car because he believes that'll give him the best shot to win on Sunday, and that's what counts most. Larry?
Yeah, Mike and Jeff and Vince, I always liked being in the second duel because that way I could watch the first duel and get a lay of the land, see what the strategy was, see how the cars were handling. The number one takeaway for me from Duel 1, communicate with your driver. I don't know about the group chat. I don't know what Sarah said on the party line. Make sure your driver knows when he's coming to pit road on the green, Mike.
Thanks,
Oh,
Larry.
I hear you, Larry. Absolutely.
Tonight's Ford Performance Track Facts. Last year, Ford swept both the duel races. Kevin Harvick and Joey Logano. They're halfway there this year with Joey Logano, the winner of Duel 1. So Ford's now won 4 of the last 5 duels. Again, 60 laps, 150 miles is the distance. 38 to 42 laps on a tank of fuel, and pit road speed 55 miles an hour. Fans staying at the Bluegreen Vacations Daytona Seabreeze gearing up for today's duel. From a pool float race to relaxing on the beach deck, fans got a race day experience without having to hit the track. How about Don LaJoie in that command? He was a multi-champion at the old quarter-mile Danbury Race Arena in Connecticut. His son Randy, 3-time Busch champion, and grandson Corey out here tonight starting 18th. As we get set here in Daytona, the 2020 Toyota Camry TRD again leads the field. We're going green this time.
All right, Mike, we saw Ricky Stenhouse Jr. pushing. He was up front a lot. He was aggressive. What are we going to see out of Alex Bowman, who's going to start from the pole of Duel 2?
9 Chevys, 2 Toyotas. The rest are Fords. Green flag in the air.
Already 3 wide. Michael McDowell going to the outside of Kyle Larson. Oh, look at Harvick. Now, I tell you, Harvick is the guy to watch in this race. You got Matt DiBenedetto on his rear bumper, going to give him a big shove. William Byron going backwards.
And Jimmy Johnson backing up. Matt D trying to get something going with Harvick. Johnson just ahead.
I think that they will get together and start working their way forward, but already a big difference. A lot of sparks out of that 48 car of Jimmy Johnson. But we saw with that outside lane just did not line up and stay in line, and that's what broke them up, and now that inside line is pulled ahead a good bit.
Alex Bowman leads lap 1. He had a couple of taps from Kyle Busch, but Busch has not peaked out yet from second spot. He's got Eric Jones as his wingman, filling up his mirror.
And again, just like in race 1, early laps, a lot of sparks, low air pressures, and these guys, the cars are getting down into the racetrack and dragging a lot, as we see Kurt Busch in the middle as again Kevin Harvick loving that outside lane, taking him 3 wide.
Johnson regroups in 7th. DiBenedetto outside in 8th.
Kurt Busch going to have to regroup all the way at the back of this field. Teammate alongside of him with Kyle Larson. I think one of the things I took away from race 1 is these cars must be pretty stable, Mike, because when you're that aggressive, when you're driving the way they are, not afraid to go 3 wide as often as we've seen in race 1 and now already in race 2, cars must be pretty stable.
I don't know, Jeff. 3 wide on lap 2?
I know, that's what I'm saying. Must be. And again, these are good conditions. These are cool track conditions, so cars are going to have a little bit more grip.
Reddick backing up a bit in the middle. There's Timmy Hill in the 66. Has to race his way in. There's Corey LaJoie in the 32.
Yeah, already both of these guys have gone by Brendan Gaughan. You know, you go into these duels and you hope, I hope I get the green flag and we go side by side for a couple laps so I can get sort of a feel for this race car, what it's handling like, and just get acquainted with 200 miles per hour in the draft. Well, that has not been the case for this race.
Well, that's the battle right there. 54 Yaley and 66 Hill. Those are the 2 drivers trying to race their way in.
And you're going to see them side by side a lot. And Yaley's got a lot of experience. So I think, you know, chalk up that experience, that might play out for Yaley. Here's Harvick going to the lead. I knew that these 2 were going to be able to work together well. DiBenedetto and Harvick and find their way to the front. They've gotten there in a hurry.
2 fast Fords on the inside. Look at Byron. Where did he come from? He went all the way to the back, found himself a lane. He's up there 3rd on the inside.
And he saw these 2 were moving through the field really well between Harvick and DiBenedetto. He latched onto them, and they pulled him right along with them. Now,
Kyle Larson regroups all by himself there toward the back. 16th. in the 42.
And he's got no helpers. I mean, you got Ross Chastain, which actually, in a way, is a bit of a teammate because that is a Chip Ganassi racing car.
Chastain with our Fox visor cam.
I love this shot.
Homesick?
You know, when they're 3 wide like Jimmy Johnson is, no. But when you're out front like Alex Bowman or Harvick, yeah, I love it up there.
Jimmy Johnson tried to bust up through the middle there at 9th place.
And Kurt Busch doing a nice job on the outside. Like I said, regrouping, getting himself back to the front. You saw a big shove from the 20 of Eric Jones to his teammate Kyle Busch. Went up there and got him right to the rear bumper, the 88 of Bowman.
No give up from Bowman on the outside.
Now, one other takeaway, again, we talk about this a lot, but from Duel 1, we saw where these Ford front bumpers are so flat and the rear bumper's so flat that they can push and get locked together better than anybody. Gives them a slight advantage, especially late in the going here. You see Kyle Busch trying to get that materialized, trying to make that push to the rear bumper, the 88 of Alex Bowman.
Kyle Busch was asked on media day, who's the face of NASCAR now? He says, I don't know. You're going to have to ask around. Why ask me? They said, well, who's the best driver in NASCAR right now? And Busch straightened up and said, you're looking at him.
I love it. I love it. And you know what? When you come off of a champion run like he did,
right,
you can say that.
Rookie Cole Custer on the inside, 4th in line on the inside. And Stuart Haas 41. 3 Fords, 2 Chevys up there.
You can see William Byron going in, trying to get to the outside edge of the rear bumper of DiBenedetto. When you're going to push, you want to be on that outer corner because that's going to keep the car going straight, not turn that car around.
Vince?
You guys taking a look at that 41 of Cole Custer, and he looked and sounded so calm and relaxed when I talked to him before he got in the car tonight. But then his dad, standing a few steps away, not so much so. And I asked his dad, Joe Custer, I said, who's more nervous, you or him? He said, there's no doubt about it. The dad is always more nervous. No problem for the 41 of Custer so far, Matt.
Vince, 2 spots up is the 21 of Matt DiBenedetto. He told me handling even more crucial. The car is so erratic with this package in the draft. But remember, he's a stout little super speedway racer. Led 49 laps last year in the 500 before getting caught up in a crash. He's tucked up there with his another Ford teammate, Harvick.
New team for DiBenedetto. Paul Menard retiring in the offseason, vacating the Wood Brothers ride, and Matt D has stepped in. Says he's having a ball. He says they're old school, the Wood Brothers, and they're fun.
I think they're a great combination. I think they're going to have a lot of fun and a lot of success this year. But especially, I think of that team here at Daytona. Matt had such a great Daytona 500 last year. We know the Wood Brothers' history here at Daytona is just one of the best. So they're going to have some fun.
Working lap 10 of 60 in the second of the Daytona Duel.
Hello. I saw you move in and I wanted to welcome you to the neighborhood with some homemade biscuits.
Oh, that's so nice.
And a little tip, Geico could help you save on homeowners insurance.
Oh.
Cookies.
Biscuits.
Throw a little nutmeg in there?
Oh, it's my mum's secret recipe.
You can tell me.
It's a secret.
Is it cinnamon?
It's my mum's secret recipe.
Call Geico and see how easy saving on homeowners and condo insurance can be.
I'll come back for the plate.
You've been hearing a lot about 5G, but there's 5G.
And then there's Verizon 5G.
We're building the most powerful 5G experience for America.
It's more than 10 times faster than some other 5G networks.
And it's rolling out in cities across the country.
So people can experience speeds that ultra-wideband can deliver.
1.7 gigs here in Houston.
1.8 gigs here in frigid Omaha.
Almost 2 gigs here in Los Angeles. That's outrageous.
It's like an 8-lane highway compared to a 2-lane dirt road.
With Pizza Hut's new Mozzarella Poppers pizza, you can switch between 16 fried mozzarella bites and a large pizza. Pizza, then app. app than pizza. It's your world. We're just making pizza in it. Hurry and try it before it's gone. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Nascar crashes. A world-famous entertainment destination. For Pennzoil 400 weekend at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Gut-wrenching danger. Insane speed. Life-changing glory. It's NASCAR's fastest weekend at America's racing showplace.
This is the biggest heavyweight fight in recent history.
Here we go again. Shots fired, I'm going in. Standing alone for the
He's up. This fight is a draw. Bring them all on.
I'm a one-man army.
Wilder Fury 2, Saturday, February 22nd on pay-per-view or buy now on the Fox Sports app.
I am the place where the season begins, and I am about to go off. I am the Daytona 500. I am NASCAR.
Laps complete in Daytona. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Chase the possibilities. Unlock discovery at every turn. Goodyear. More driven. Kevin Harvick continues to lead. But one thing you hardly ever see is Kyle Busch get shuffled. He went from 2nd to 13th. Now, with only 2 Toyotas in the race, part of the plan?
Well, I don't know. It's his teammate, Eric Jones. That's very surprising. I cannot imagine this is a part of the plan. I didn't see him with his hand out the window. I don't know if Eric Jones is trying to block a run coming from the one behind him of Kurt Busch. But you see something, like you said, Mike, very rare for Kyle Busch to go to the back like that and get shuffled. But that outside lane, since he has gotten shuffled, I thought they've made a little bit of ground up on our leader, Kevin Harvick.
They have. Alex Bowman is leading that outside lane back toward the front. You got 2 Fords locked together on point. There's Harvick and DiBenedetto. Then the Chevy of Byron on the inside and the Ford of Custer. 14 laps complete, and Larry, looking back at duel number 1, what's your thinking on this pit window?
Yeah, they actually ran a little deeper into that first duel. I thought about lap 19 or 20 we would see them coming, but the Chevrolet teams, they came at about lap 23. 1 lap later, the Toyotas. And the Fords, they were going all the way to lap 30. They were almost splitting this duel in half. I still believe once we cross lap 20, you'll start to see some of them group up, come to pit road, probably for fuel only.
Well, Alex Bowman has done it. He's brought that outside line back to the front.
That was so impressive. You see, you got about even amount of cars in the outside lane versus the inside lane. And so all it takes is for you to get a car like Eric Jones to your rear bumper to give you that shove. And we see here already both of these cars, Kevin Harvick and the 88 of Bowman, fast race cars.
You know, guys, the one thing that I keep seeing is around 15 laps, whether it's on new tires or used tires, that outside lane becomes the lane to be in. And I think it's just because handling comes into play, and the guys on the bottom either get tight or they're just not able to hold it wide open and keep the, on the car in front of them as close as they need to be.
Well, I think you brought up a really good point, Jamie, because I saw something that Alex Bowman did. He went down and was very aggressive on a side draft to, I believe it's DiBenedetto, and you saw right then him surge forward. So I think you're right. I think if he can get down to the outside and loosen those guys up, they probably are going to have to lift the throttle a little bit.
Now, the inside lane has broken up here pretty completely. That's Ross Chastain, first car on the inside, as everybody's hunted the top side. And Matt Yoakum has found out what happened that dropped Kyle Busch from 2nd to 13th.
Mike, all about agendas for this duel. It's all about building a notebook for the 500. Kyle Busch pulled out and dropped to the back to see how his car would be deeper in the draft. You can see now he's working his way to the front. In the back, though, he said the car was a little bit on the free side. The back end certainly out of the racetrack.
So it was part of a plan. He's since climbed back up to 5th place.
Call me old school, Mike. I like the Dale Earnhardt Sr. rule book, and that's be out front, because that's where I plan to be all day.
Right. Larry knows that one well.
Yes, he does.
All the way to victory lane. J.J. Yaley, first among the 2 race-in cars. He and Timmy Hill. One of them will make the 500, and now this group has gone single file as we approach the opening of the pit window here in a couple of laps. There's the race-in battle, keeping close tabs on one another. Brendan Gaughan has dropped further back. He's in the race on time for Sunday, so the race-in is between these two, Yaley and Hill. Coming to 1/3 distance this time.
It's been another great race so far, Mike. I mean, we saw side by side for several laps, 15, 16 laps before they started getting single file like they are right now. Wonder maybe a little bit more rubber on the racetrack after race 1. So maybe that outside groove is starting to prevail because, as Jamie McMurray mentioned, handling's starting to go away a little bit for those guys on that inside lane.
Well, my concern now, Jeff, is getting cleanly out of line to pit. We saw in race 1, not everybody could do that.
And I just got to believe you have to communicate, whether you're on top of the spotter stand and you're telling the other spotters, hey, we're pitting. I just don't think it's worth it to try to trick everybody and not tell anybody you're pitting until turn 3.
Brennan Poole off the pace. In the 15, J.J. Yaley among the biggest movers in this event. There's Ty Dillon, top of that list.
Yeah, Tyler Reddick. He kind of got shuffled back at the beginning of this race, and he had to get around in some of these cars. I think he's got a much faster race car, but that group got separated from our lead group. Now he's got some work to do.
Ty Dillon started 15th. He's up to 6th. And there's his new teammate for 2020, Reddick.
Yeah, and you can see the rest of the group that's drafting ahead of him is in that outside lane. So Tyler Reddick's trying to run that short line, try to make up some ground in the corners. But I really believe he's lost the draft and is going to be in trouble here for the rest of this race.
Caution free through these 21 laps so far. Pit windows open. Now, last time the Fords stopped last, and before they stopped, they were running the fastest laps of the race in a group of 6 or 7 cars on the bottom of the racetrack while everybody else had pitted.
And we had a lot of debate about that, whether that was intentional. We think that they just kind of fell into that, which was going to really turn out to be work out really well for them. Unfortunately, they had that miscommunication incident coming onto pit road and really took away the advantage they had. They really were going to come off pit road, I think, with a couple-second lead.
Bowman comes off the high side, won't be pitting this time. Brings that single file train down to the line. 14 cars within 1.5 seconds.
And you just got to think, I know Jimmy Johnson's not thinking about this right now, but each one of these events that he goes through could be the last time he experiences that.
At this time.
It's Alex Bowman's radio. There are 4 Chevrolets in the top 7. Bowman, Kurt Busch, Ty Dillon, and William Byron. They will want to pit together so that when they get off pit road and back up to speed, they'll be drafting at competitive speed.
And there goes Alex Bowman. There goes the other Chevys, Larry.
Yeah, this is the exact lap the Chevrolet teams pitted in Duel 1. Looks like to me they're down to the bottom, probably coming this time.
Now Chastain, Larson, and Johnson and Reddick will likely come with them. And here's Vince.
Well, they told Kurt Busch, drag a little brake as you come in to put a little heat in those brakes to make sure you get stopped in the box. Just a little bit of balance help is the only complaint for Kurt Busch. Otherwise, he likes it, Matt.
And farther up pit road, very quiet on the 88 and 48 radios as those Chevrolets are in. It's going to be fuel only for Jimmy Johnson. And they're already off pit road. The Toyota crew members are up on the wall.
9 Chevrolets pitted together and exit together with fuel only. So the 2 Toyotas and the 8 Fords still on track here at 24 laps.
Now, what's a little bit different here is we saw that in that Duel 1, they were lined up together and making great lap time. Right there, you saw they went to the inside of the 34 of McDowell. will they line up and try to just run this out as long as they can to get that advantage like we saw in Duel 1?
So if the two Toyotas pit together, when they get back up to speed, do you need more than 2 cars?
Oh, they're not going to pit by themselves. They're going to try to pit with these Fords, but the disadvantage they have is they don't know if they're going to pit because they're in front of them. If they were following these guys, they could just follow them onto pit road. So if these Fords decide to peel off and pit alone, then they can leave them out. But I think it benefits the Toyotas and the Fords to all stick together because of the number of cars they have drafted and the speed they're carrying. Of course, you might want to check the chat room, see what's going on.
The group chat.
Yeah.
No emojis needed. 25 laps complete. Now, they could go all the way to lap 38 or 40, but there's no advantage to do so.
Yeah, right? There's no real advantage. You know, the only advantage is maybe you take a little less fuel on that stop when you finally do come to pit road because you don't have as many laps to go, even though you've used a little more fuel.
Brendan Gaughan goes a lap down. Now he's already made the Daytona 500 on speed.
These guys are racing hard, though. They know what this means. This means starting the Daytona 500.
One of them will, one of them won't. That's what's at stake here.
Talk about give and take. There's no give and take happening right here between these two.
Well, that swing is about $250,000 whether you start this race or not, or whether you have to go home tonight. Now, B.J. McLeod, the 52, is locked into the race. He's a teammate to Yaley, Rick Ware Racing. McLeod from Florida did not get to run a qualifying lap. They had problems and changed engines prior to the duel, but he's going to try to help his teammate here make the race.
Well, it looks like maybe Corey LaJoie is trying to help out Timmy Hill. That 66 is he's getting a little drafting help from Corey LaJoie in the 32. Just side by side. This could get pretty interesting to watch. Maybe that green flag stops what's going to make the difference.
Well, it would be throwing the biggest dummy if the two Toyotas found themselves on the racetrack with all those Fords behind them slamming on the brakes and heading for pit road without them.
They're done, Mike. If they come by themselves, their race is over if a caution does not come out, because they will not be able to run near as fast as those larger group, those larger drafts.
Chevy's led by William Byron from 12th on back.
And you can see we kind of got a similar situation with Jimmy Johnson, and I believe that's Ross Chastain. They've lost the 4 ahead of them in Bowman, Larson, Kurt Busch, and Ty Dillon. And I think Byron's in that group too.
Not only are Timmy Hill and J.J. Yaley racing side by side, they're in the top 10. Right. Halfway next time by.
So again, I really see these guys doing a very similar strategy, the Toyotas and Fords, of what we saw in Duel 1. They're using the draft, using their group to run as long as they can, try to build up an advantage before they come to green, to those green flag stops. Larry?
Yeah, this would be the lap that the Ford teams were coming in the first duel, but I'm almost thinking bait those Toyotas, make them come to pit road and then run another lap unless they just keep running here. But this is the lap the Ford teams came the first duel.
Not this lap, Larry, because they're on the outside with slower traffic.
See Jimmy
to the
Johnson
inside.
Trying to block that run. He does a good job on Eric Jones. Now he's got to move up to block the 18 of Kyle Busch, but we saw this can be dangerous. You got to be real careful with that big run coming if you block it too much. Now Jimmy, I think, did an excellent job. Kind of stalled out the 20 of Eric Jones, picked up the 18 perfectly.
And that is to benefit of Jones, because he is no longer in front of those Fords. So now it's assured that the 20 can pit when the Fords do. They will have to come in the next 7 or 8 laps.
I really think think as long as they're catching this group ahead of them and they're making up time, it's only going to benefit them on the backside. Jamie, what do you think? You picked up on that in the first race.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching them, Jeff, and they're running a half, 3/4 of a second faster than the Chevys that pitted earlier on. And now, you know, they've had the benefit of the draft of some of those guys that lost that lead draft. So this, if there's no caution, this is a home run for Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Matt DiBenedetto, those guys that stayed out. If we don't get a caution, I think they're going to be 4, 5, 6 seconds ahead of those guys that pitted earlier.
How is Kyle Busch going to know when the Fords are pitting, and how much time will he have to react?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way unless they tell Kyle Busch that they're pitting. Now, he can look in his mirror. I mean, hey, he's a two-time champion. He might be able to pull something off like that, but I really think unless they tell him and include him in their plan, or maybe they listen on the radio, maybe he knows what lap that they're going to come in.
All 4 below the box.
Sounds like they're coming. Now, they've got to be careful that same situation. They've got some cars mixed in there that have pitted. I'd have my hand out the window right now. Yep. You can see Reddick knows they're coming. So does Chastain.
So they go to the high side. And here they all come. Led by Kyle Busch. 2 Toyotas and a bunch of Fords, Vince.
Well, 22-year-old Cole Custer in that red 41. He's got 3 cup starts to his credit, but he's in the duel for the first time. And the car got really tight toward the end of that run, so they're going to make an adjustment on it to try to give him a little bit more of a handling car.
Matt, look for the strategy up and down pit road. Cars going with right side tires. The 18 of Kyle Busch is losing overall grip, as was his teammate Eric Jones in the 20, and they're away.
I thought that would split up that group more than it did. DiBenedetto and Jones got right side tires.
And they had to sit on pit road a little bit longer to take more fuel, so that allowed them to take those right side tires and not really lose anything.
Michael McDowell stops. Now Corey LaJoie, J.J. Yaley making their stops. And we cycle back to Kevin Harvick. Here's William Byron leading Ty Dillon, Kurt Busch, and Larson.
Look at this big lead that they have. Now they've got to get organized. They've got to get together because these guys are all stacked on top of one another, carrying a great amount of speed into turn 3. If these other Fords and Toyotas ahead of them can get organized, again, that advantage goes to those drivers and teams.
Timmy Hill and J.J. Yaley pitted at the same time and exit together. That battle will continue for the next 26 laps.
I think that was really well executed. And I got to give Cole Custer a lot of credit because, you know, he's a rookie. That was one of the first times he had to make a green flag stop. A lot of pressure on him. They all came to pit road, I thought, really, really well.
Six seconds is the difference from the first to the second pack. As we go Fox NASCAR side by side with 26 laps to go.
The sports world is buzzing about the XFL.
Absolutely tremendous. It's XFL football, man.
More of the football that millions of fans have always wanted.
Big hit.
Has finally arrived.
Into the end zone. Touchdown.
And this week should be even better.
That was gorgeous.
Tampa Bay, Seattle, Saturday at 5 Eastern on Fox. Download the Fox Sports Super 6 app today and lock in your free XFL picks for a chance to win cash prizes.
PNC Bank has technology to help make banking easier. Like PNC Easy Lock, so you can easily lock your credit card when its maximum limit differs from its vertical limit. And Clover Flex, for when you need to take credit cards when no one carries cash. Or requesting a call to help get a new credit card, one that hasn't followed the family goldfish. PNC, make today the day.
Hey, your science project.
Thanks, Jeff.
Toyota, let's go places. I am first. The place where it all started. I am dreams coming true and nightmares too. The place where the season begins. I am 101,000 hearts skipping a beat. I am wide open, faster than fast, predictably unpredictable. I am the wind that beats all other winds. I am what you've been waiting for, and I am about to go off. I am the Daytona 500. I am NASCAR.
Here we go again. Shots fired, I'm going in. Standing alone. He's up.
This fight is a draw.
I'm a one-man army. Rising up. What a shot.
Wild and Fury 2, Saturday, February 22nd on pay-per-view or buy now on the Fox Sports app.
22 laps to go as they cross the stripe in Daytona. A 5-car draft led by Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Matt DiBenedetto, David Reagan, and Eric Jones. A huge day of hoops comes your way Saturday on Fox. First, Big Ten action as Purdue battles Ohio State at 11:30 Eastern, followed by a Big East clash between Georgetown and 19th ranked Butler. Both these games also available on the Fox Sports app. So in the race-in department, note Brendan Gaughan in 15th. He will get the race-in spot if nothing changes. And J.J. Yaley and Timmy Hill continue to battle, but Hill had the faster qualifying time. So if Brendan Gaughan stays in 15th place, Timmy Hill would make the race on qualifying speed.
Yeah, those guys are going to need something to happen, because I just don't see them being able to catch Brendan Gaughan and shuffle him back.
21 to go.
Yeah, I watched this pack here and the way they execute that green flag stop, and I go back, I believe it's last year, Kevin Harvick and his team did exactly the same thing. I don't think they came on pit road leading, just like they did here. They came in second behind the 18, or at least behind the 18, but they did a flawless job on pit road, changing 2 tires and putting fuel in and exiting pit road first to get the lead.
You know, guys, I went back a couple of nights ago and I watched the duel races from a year ago. Kevin Harvick in the 4 won Duel 1. Why did he win Duel 1? He spent the least amount of time on pit road during his pit stop. When I look at the pit stops that were just made for 2 tires, guess who the fastest team was for 2 tires? Kevin Harvick's number 4 pit crew.
Are we any faster than that Chevy pack? Yeah, you're pretty good right now. Say they're all going to stay in line, the guys in our group behind us till the end. So let's keep digging, making time.
That's Tim Fedewa up on the roof, former Xfinity Series driver, and a good one, talking with other spotters, and they've got a plan up front. So it appears to be no accident that those Toyotas pitted with the fast group of Fords.
Well, if you want this strategy to work out, you need some friends to go with you. There's a nice group of Fords that were fast, but they needed a few others to adopt this strategy, and that's why I think this is working out for them, because of those 2 other Toyotas.
So right now, the William Byron group and the Jimmy Johnson group, they are faster than the lead pack by, whoa, in the wall goes J.J. Yaley.
Oh, man, that's a bummer. That's not the way you want your duel to end and your chance to make it into the Daytona 500.
And the former USAC champion out there in the high lane and got turned into the wall.
I don't know, they ran down, I really wasn't watching, and I looked over and they ran down this other pack. I think we're going to no debris.
Caution.
Not exactly sure what happened. They still rolling.
Corey LaJoie on pit road.
And you saw William Byron was threading his way through some of those cars that they had caught. Here's a replay. Looks like the 54 of Yaley just gets clipped in the right rear corner from the 32 of LaJoie. Remember, the 32 and the 66 were working together to try to draft to get ahead of these guys.
Not sure how much contact there was there, or did we? Well, we'll see here. There it is.
I just don't know if the spotter or Yaley knew what a run that Corey LaJoie had coming in that outside lane. So yeah, you saw William Byron jump up there. I don't know if Yaley really reacted to that as much as just that outside lane had a big run coming.
And just as in race 1, the first caution of the event takes out one of the hopefuls trying to race his way into the 500. In this case, former USAC champ J.J. Yaley. "18 laps to go."
Oh, William Byron coming to pit road. Oh, I was going to say, I think they thought the pits were open. But now we know what he's going to do. So that tells me some of these guys a little bit further back might come in and get 4 tires so that they can be really aggressive when this goes back to green.
Yeah, I think when I look at the front, we're going to go back racing probably with about 13, 14 laps to go. If you're up there in the top 6, 5 or 6, yeah, you're going to stay out. But if you're back there like Alex Bowman, Jimmy Johnson, Tyler Reddick, come get you 4 fresh tires. Make that thing drive better.
Here's William Byron's radio.
Not open, don't pit. If it's to stay up. There you go. Good job. Yeah. Good for it. Thank God for live TV there.
Always here to help you out there, checking house.
Pits remain closed as officials look for debris coming up out of turn number 4, where J.J. Yaley got up and into the wall. All this leads to Sunday, the biggest day in stock car racing.
Every dream begins with a dreamer.
Dale Earnhardt will win the Daytona 500.
This is the race where legends are made. Wow. They've all envisioned hoisting this trophy. Whose lifelong dream will become a reality? It's the Great American Race. Coverage begins 11 a.m. Eastern.
You know, we talk all year about how long the season is, and then we talk all winter about how long the off season is, and now we're ready.
It is so exciting to be back in Daytona and kicking off Speed Weeks here. We had a wild one in the Busch Clash on Sunday, and we've had some great racing here in the duels. So even more excited about Sunday's race for the Daytona 500 now.
Pit road is open, and it's going to be busy. Ty Dillon leads William Byron and the rest. Vince.
Well, it's interesting, as you guys noted, William Byron almost coming on pit road too soon. William said he wasn't paying attention to the pit lights telecast saved him. He's a little too tight right now in the 24, Matt.
Same plan for the 88 of Alex Bowman. The plan all along, come get 4 tires. The 48 of Jimmy Johnson was relaying to his team that the car a little edgy later in that run, especially up against the wall, but Bowman wanted to come get fresh tires. Better handling for the run to the finish.
Now Kyle Larson only got 2 tires. You see him scooting out of the picture. He was first off pit road by a wide margin, followed by Byron and Bowman.
Well, and I think Larson just felt like he needed some track position. Maybe he feels his car's driving plenty good enough. The guys he's going to be racing against ahead of him anyway, they took 2 right side tires.
So by my count, Larson will line up 6th for the restart. 5 cars stayed out. Let's have a look at tonight's Blue-Green Vacations race summary. Joey Logano, again, the winner of Duel 1. Justin Haley races his way in, and Reed Sorensen on his qualifying time from the weekend will be in the Daytona 500. Here in race 2, Kevin Harvick trying to repeat his dual win of 1 year ago.
It'd be a real repeat because I think Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick won the duels last year.
Correct.
But we still have, what, 15 laps to go when we go back to green.
So Harvick the leader in Ford. Kyle Busch's Toyota. There's the race 1 winner, Joey Logano's car. Matt DiBenedetto's Ford, David Reagan's Ford. How about Reagan? Retired at the end of last season, the Georgia driver did. but he is here racing in the 500 on a one-off. He says he has a busy year ahead. He's going to be Ford's test driver for the new generation NASCAR car all year long. And he says he's going to keep a clean suit and a helmet ready on the shelf in case a call comes. But here he is.
Can you really call
Top
that
5.
retired? I don't think that's retired. but they picked a great guy. I mean, I think he has great experience to be able to help Ford with that, and NASCAR with that program.
Now, for those of you looking for Arizona at Cal, college hoops can currently be seen on FS2. We'll have all the action here on FS1 after the race, which has just 15 laps to go.
Well, that's certainly the last thing that I think Kevin Harvick wanted to see. Again, executed that green flag stop perfectly, just like they did last year. But now, stack them back up, got to go back racing, and we've seen what kind of racing happens when these cars are side by side after a restart.
They brought the record of pit road to pick up B.J. McLeod, or rather, the 54 car of J.J. Yaley, and that's why we're going to add a lap here before we go back to green. Well, who do you like? Kevin Harvick trying to win it for the second year in a row, or our series champion, Kyle Busch?
Well, there's something that we saw materialize at the start of this race that got Kevin Harvick to the front, and he's right behind him, and that's Matt DiBenedetto. So I like Kevin Harvick's chances. When these two guys hook up, I think they have a great shot at just shoving right ahead of the rest of the field.
Wood Brothers always seem to bring a fast car for Daytona and Talladega. That seems to be their specialty. Jamie, Larry, who you like?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Jeff's saying. I saw Matt right behind Kevin, and I think those two are going to be the two that are going to battle for the win here. Look, we only have 15 laps left, and it's taken about 15 laps for those lanes to transition to the top. So I think we're going to see two-wide racing, similar to what we saw in that first duel. But I'm really liking that inside lane with Harvick and DiBenedetto.
I don't know how in the world you would bet against Kevin Harvick in that 4 car. I think he's got their number right now, and he's got that track position. And again, a lot tip of the hat to his pit crew. They had the fastest 2-tire stop when they came to pit road.
Well, boys, I don't know if I'd bet on Kyle Busch, but what I learned last year is don't ever bet against him.
No, that's for sure. Can't count him out. And, you know, he's hungry. He finished second this Daytona 500 last year. He's checking off boxes. And one of those boxes that he has yet to check off is that Daytona 500. Now, does that mean he has to win this duel? No. But I just think it's a statement that he wants to make and get the absolute best starting position on Sunday in the 500 to go try to get that first victory.
Well, Harvick is trying to equal history along with Joey Logano, because only once in the history of the Daytona International Speedway have 2 drivers won their dual races 2 years in a row, the same pair of drivers, and they're both Hall of Famers. Joe Weatherly and Daytona Beach's own Fireball Roberts, back when these races were 100 miles, 1961 and 62. They won the then called the Twins, now the Duels. They won them back-to-back years.
Well, that'd be some pretty good company to be in.
Yes, it would be.
And we might just have 2 future Hall of Famers there in those 2, and Kevin Harvick and Joey Logano.
So we have 5 drivers on worn tires at the front of the field. Kyle Larson with 2 tires restarting 6th, and the rest of this field restarting with fresh tires.
I really think if you're Kevin Harvick or if you're Kyle Busch, clean air is your friend, and you're going to be fine on those tires. As you get further and further back, tires are going to become an issue. You know, if you're Eric Jones, let's say, I think that's where I wouldn't really want to be on some older tires.
Since the last checkered flag waved in Homestead in November, Kyle Larson has run 20 races. He's won half of them.
That guy's been around the world a couple of times racing.
Sure, New Zealand, Australia, everywhere. Chili Bowl, here we go. 13 laps to go. Green flag.
According to plan for Kevin Harvick on that start with a nice push from DiBenedetto, but that outside lane, I felt like formed a little bit earlier than the inside lane, so Kevin's going to have to do some blocking, and yeah, he's not going to be able to do it. Here comes a big run by Kyle Busch.
So if you can't hold him on the top, beat him on the bottom.
Well, go to the shortest route.
Right. $12 laps to go, Vince.
Well, you guys noted the 36 of David Reagan officially retired at the end of last season from full competition, but always seems to run well here at Daytona. And there he is finding himself in that top group, but they are right on the number fuel mileage wise. So keep an eye on that 36. They think they've got enough to get to the finish, but they're not quite sure.
Well, right now, Kyle Busch has won that 36 of David Reagan to close up that gap, and here it comes. But that inside lane right now is maybe it formed up a little bit better, except for that big push by the Ford.
Reagan got there, and he's going to push Kyle right up even with Kevin Harvick for the lead.
Well, Kyle can get there, but he just can't maintain it. And that's sort of what happens when you get that big push. You get a big surge, but then you lose your drafting help, and it pulls you right back. You see Jimmy Johnson trying to slow down that outside lane. Oh, Tyler Reddick making a pretty aggressive move to the outside to go 3 wide around Cole Custer.
And that's not going to pay off.
Oh, that didn't work. Nobody went with him.
Hard for rookies to find help, I would guess.
Especially when the guy you're trying to pass is another rookie.
Yep. Harvick was asked in the media center today, where do you want to be here on the last lap? He said, always out front. Always in a position to try and control your own destiny.
Yeah, I mean, you saw right there, he kind of tried to control both lanes when he knew the run was coming up top by Kyle Busch. I would rather, I agree, you want to be up front, because if those guys start racing behind them, as we see Kyle Busch move to that inside lane, they start racing one another, and usually the run doesn't materialize like it used to, like you think it would.
9 laps to go. And the outside line is gone.
And here Ross Chastain having to actually get out of the throttle a good bit as they go into turn 1. We haven't talked a lot about this. Is a big rear spoiler in the back of this car with a lot of horsepower punching a big hole, so you get a huge draft. That's why Chastain is getting out of the throttle. Kyle Busch not content. He's going to go to the outside of Ty Dillon with some help from Ross Chastain. And here comes Kyle Larson to help. Pretty nice move by Kyle Busch. Another big run coming.
Working on Jimmy Johnson.
Now he doesn't have any help this time, so he's got to have somebody go with him. Ty Dillon's probably going to tuck in with Jimmy Johnson, and he does. And here comes Tyler Reddick to the rear bumper, so some Chevrolets lining up. Yeah, that's going to hurt Kyle Busch.
And Eric Jones in third, the other Toyota. He's in no position to help Kyle Busch right now.
Yeah, not at all.
Nope.
Not at all. I mean, he could have maybe jumped up there to try to help him, but he knew he was going to be taking a big risk. He's pretty content with where he's at right now in third. This thing comes down to the last couple laps. Maybe he has a shot at actually winning this duel right there. Helping that Kyle Busch was probably just going to do him more harm than good.
Back to single file. Back through the top 10, which is Michael McDowell, then Kyle Busch on the outside, 11. 7 to go. Kyle Larson with those 2 tires restarted 6th. He's currently 10th.
Yeah, I think right there, it definitely wouldn't see Kyle Busch going to the inside of Michael McDowell. I think if Kyle would have just been a little bit more patient right there and waited maybe another lap or two and had those cars stacked up behind him, he probably would have had somebody go with him, because Larson and Reddick, these guys want to go. They don't want to just stay in that inside lane. I just think that they want to make sure they clear somebody when they do it.
All right, so let's play this game of telephone or group chat or whatever you want to call it. How do you get help together to pull out to pass and win.
Well, at this point, unless you knew you were going to have 3, 4, 5 cars that were willing to take that risk, you have to stay in line until the last, maybe lap and a half, something like that. People will step out to try to win this race. There's points on the line, there's a big trophy on the line, and a lot of pride to walk through the garage area with to get this win. But I can tell you right now, I don't think DiBenedetto is going to take the risk. I think he stays with the 4 of Kevin Harvick.
Timmy Hill has moved up into the race-in spot in 16th. Brendan Gaughan would make the field on time the way they're running right now. Everybody else is in the race. It's just a question of where will they start. And that'll be based on the finish 5 laps from now.
We see David Reagan getting shuffled out. I don't know if that's him feeling like he's low on fuel and having to conserve. There goes Kyle Larson to the outside. He's got some help from Chastain, but again, I think this is just too early to make that outside move work.
You know, guys, I want to ask you, I do see the Ford and the Toyota, but what about those 6 Chevrolets lined up right behind them? Are they going to be content just to sit back there? My feeling would probably be necessarily not.
No, absolutely not, Larry. But it's just what lap do you start to try to make that move? I think right now with 4 laps to go, it's just still a little bit too early.
But look at the bow ties on our scoring pylon. If there's one group that's going to go as a group, you'd think it would be the Chevrolets if they can get that all together.
You'll be surprised, especially with this drafting package, how quick those runs can materialize and how quick you can pull back that inside lane. So just keep an eye on William Byron and the 1 of Kurt Busch, the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. If they get a run, they go to the outside, I think they can make something happen. I just don't know what lap it's going to happen on.
Man, I'm with Jeff. The runs are generated so quick. The key is you want to be the first guy to pull out when you know everyone's going to go with you. You don't want to be the guy that pulls out and no one to go with you.
There it is.
William Byron.
William Byron to the outside. He's got help. Matt DiBenedetto up to block.
And this is now you're just stuck out there. You're Kevin Harvick. You got no momentum. Here comes a big push. Jimmy Johnson, the 1 of Kurt Busch. Watch this run that the 24 Byron's going to get down the back straightaway.
Harvick came up to side draft. Can't do anything about it. Here come the Chevys.
Wow. That was a little earlier than I thought they were going to go, but so far so good. It's worked out. Now what are they going to do for 2 more laps?
Harvick needs DiBenedetto to his bumper.
Well, and this is where it gets tricky if you're William Byron. You want to win this duel. Do you go down and try to block that inside lane of Kevin Harvick if it starts to materialize? There goes Jimmy Johnson to the bottom. Yeah, I think William's got to get right down in front of the 48 of Jimmy Johnson.
2 to go. Terrific move by Byron and that whole Chevy group to go with him.
Well, and I got to believe he knew somebody was going to go with him, so he was in great position. But this thing is anything but over.
Look at him bounce around as Jimmy Johnson gives William Byron a push.
I mean, I think right now William can get that far out because it's his teammate Jimmy Johnson. If that was anybody else other than Jimmy Johnson, I think that's too big of a gap. 1 to go.
1 lap to go, sponsored by Credit One Bank. Byron to the top, and Johnson with him.
Now, here comes a run by Kevin Harvick. He's going to get to the inside of Byron here. If Byron's not careful.
DiBenedetto push.
Yeah, DiBenedetto, this is going to be a game changer right here. If they don't get a big run on the outside, I think Kevin Harvick's going to get back to the lead. Oh, he lost his help there with DiBenedetto. Oh, contact.
Kurt Busch is going for it. 3 wide into the corner. Stacked up. Busch in the middle.
I think you look at that 24 getting the victory here.
And William Byron scoots away from them 3 wide behind him. William Byron for Rick Hendrick in a Chevrolet breaks the Ford stranglehold on the duels.
And how they didn't wreck off a Ford again, I have no idea. What a race.
Nice work, man. Awesome job, guys. First one of the year, baby. That was beautiful, man. Nice work.
Kurt Busch had a big run, and that kind of broke up the battle as Jimmy Johnson and William Byron their way to victory.
Yeah, this gets pretty dicey. You see the one of Kurt Busch. As those two got side by side, he just takes advantage of that air that's being blocked. Boy, that was so close to making contact. They did make contact between him and Jimmy Johnson, pushed the 4 Kevin Harvick below the yellow line.
Which would be a penalty on Harvick if he drove below the yellow line, not if he's pushed below the yellow line, as you'll see here.
Well, and it's about advancing your position, but yeah, he definitely got slammed below the yellow line. I tell you what, those guys that were in Duel 1 that didn't get, that were watching this race, I think they learned a lot about what you can do. Yeah, there's definitely contact right there, but what you can do, more contact between Jimmy Johnson and Kurt Busch. But I think they taught these guys something for the Daytona 500. You can come from 4th, 5th on back if you've got enough cars behind you to go with you.
And Timmy Hill will be in the Daytona 500. He races his way in, finishes 1 spot ahead of Brendan Gaughan, who makes the 500 field on his qualifying time. Well, that was exciting.
Yes,
all the way to the finish. Charlotte, North Carolina's William Byron is headed for victory lane in Duel 2.